We welcome our Charolais exhibitors to our show ring. This will be in this right show ring, which is going to be considered the west show ring. In the ring at this time is Class 201A. These are junior heifer calves of your percentage junior heifer calf show of your Charolais. We'll have in this class entry 1485 comes from Jackson Stone of Clinton, Missouri. Date of birth is going to be May 13th of 2025. We also want to welcome our Key Angus exhibitors into our show ring, our eastern show ring, which is off to my left. This is Class 201 of Key Angus heifers, calved April of 2025. We'll have a single entry 1539, which is going to come from Luke Jennings.
Well, good morning. It's a great day to be in Denver and look at some really good Charolais cattle here. And start off in our percentage show, just a single entry here for the young man. Really a nice heifer calf here. Going to be a good project for this young man. Structure's pretty good. She can get out of her shoulder pretty nice. Heifer that's got something to her in terms of balance. Very clean fronted. Really correct in her lines. Heifer that's got some certainly adequate in terms of body and muscle. It'd be fun to bring this heifer back out and compare her to our other class winners. Get her out here with a friend, but she's done well getting through the ring here the first time this morning. Congratulations to this young man. Good job.
Your results coming in from your show rings. From your Charolais show ring, Class 201A, first place was 1485, and that comes from Jackson Stone. In your Charolais show ring now is Class 201B of junior heifers. We have entry 1486 from T.J. Mueller of Lincoln, Nebraska. Over within your Key Angus show, results coming in from Class 201, first place was 1539, coming from Luke Jennings. In the ring at this time for the Key show will now be Class 202. This will be entry 1540, coming from Baron Strope of O'Neill, Nebraska.
Well, another nice single entry here in our second class. Heifer, again, that has a lot of look, very long fronted. She's good in her lines and gives you a really nice look from the side. Again, has enough to her, I think. Nice in terms of her rib cage. Maybe gets a little shorter strided there off her back too. Loosen her up a tick if we could there, but that's a high-quality female, deserving class winner. It'll be fun to bring her back out here in a few minutes in our division. Congratulations.
Results for Class 201B in your Charolais show. First place, 1486 from T.J. Mueller. Now we'll move on to Class 201C of junior heifers. We'll have two entries, 1488 from Gates Puster of Richmond, Missouri, and 1484 from Alyssa Fiddler. Results for Class 2 in the Key Angus show. First place, 1540 from Baron Strope. At this time, within your Key Angus show, we will now bring back our class winners from Classes 201 and 202. Our judge, Mr. Taylor Frank, will select your champion and reserve champion late junior heifer calf. And as I said, our judge is Mr. Taylor Frank. He grew up in northern Colorado, where he developed a passion for raising and exhibiting a variety of livestock species. He began his college career at Butler Community College in 2011, competing on the livestock judging team and earning recognition as an academic All-American. He later transferred to Texas Tech University, where he continued judging and was named high individual overall in the 2014 American Royal. He also competed at the university's meat animal evaluation team. Following graduation, Taylor returned to El Dorado, Kansas to join the coaching staff at Butler. Over the past decade, he has coached more than 175 students from 26 states and Canada, leading 5 teams to national championships with numerous academic All-Americans. We appreciate Mr. Frank judging our Key Angus show here at the National Western.
Over here on the Charolais side, stepped it up a notch here with this really high quality pair of heifers here in a February class. 2 really good females in my mind. There's some differences. The heifer that wins is just so massive and so bold in the way she is shaped in terms of muscle and body both. Probably do have a little concern just her as a mature cow. There's going to be plenty of heifer there, plenty of female as we think about her down the road. But this is also a power breed, and so maybe some of that's to be expected. But she's so good in the shape and curvature to her rib cage in terms of muscle shape and power. She does it with a really good look as well. I think the heifer that's in second's just a tick neater fronted. I do appreciate her being a tick more moderate. A very attractive female. There's just not as much power and dimension to her. I think if we're going to nitpick 2 really nice heifers, maybe we could change them just a touch structurally. They're certainly adequate in that, but maybe we'd loosen them up both off of both ends just a touch, but 2 really, really good females in that class.
Results coming out of your Charolais show ring, Class 201C. Second place was 1488 from Gates Puster. And your class winner was 1484 from Alyssa Fiddler. At this time, within our Charolais show, we will now bring back our class winners from classes 201A, B, and C. Our judge will select your champion and reserve champion junior heifer calves. Over in your Key Angus show, we have in the ring class 203. This is a single entry, 1541. This comes from Baron Strope. This is the only class in the division, so therefore, class 203 winner will become your champion early junior heifer calf. Results coming in from your Key Angus show, Class 203. First place and your champion early junior heifer calf is 1541 from Baron Strope. At this time, within our Key Angus show, we will now move on to Class 204. These will be heifers calved in February of 2024. We'll have a single entry in this class. 1542 comes from Miley Parker. This is the only entry in the class and the only class in the division, so therefore first place for Class 201 will become your champion junior yearling.
Well, over on the Charolais side, a really nice division here to start off with in our percentage show. Just 4 heifers here in this division, but really a lot of quality amongst them. Heifer that wins the first class is very attractive fronted. With that being said, you get her out here, maybe there's just her overall balance as compared to some of the other heifers out here, maybe doesn't match up quite as well. But that's a young heifer. She got her whole life in front ahead of her there. Going to be a really nice project for that young man. Good female to win the first class. Again, a really long fronted heifer, maybe as long and neat necked as any of that are out here, and this young man here that wins the second class, you get her on the stand, and there's a lot to like in this heifer just in terms of quality look and balance. She's got enough dimension as well for just a young heifer calf as well. Maybe if we get her on the move, we'd change her just a little bit here when we get her out and compare to these other heifers in this division. But on the stand, that's a really high quality, nice female. Heifer that wins the final class is the performance power heifer here in this division. Tremendous amount of substance and dimension. Probably plenty of size there for me personally as we think about her later in life, feed costs, etc., and as a cow. But the quality of the animal is undeniable. She's just bold and powerful, and while she's not as totally clean fronted as a couple other heifers out here, she's certainly really good in terms of balance as well. Her pieces fit together nicely. And I think as we get her and the second place heifer in that class out here, they do well in terms of structure, comparatively speaking. So 2 really nice heifers that came out of that class. I think they're close enough for me. I'll keep them together. Young lady here will be champion. Young man that was second in the third class will be reserve. Congratulations.
Results from your Charolais show, your champion percentage junior heifer calf comes from Class 201C. That was 1484 from Alyssa Fiddler. The reserve percentage junior heifer calf is also coming from Class 201C. That was 1488 from Gates Puster. In your Charolais show ring now, we have Class 202. This is senior heifer calves. We'll have entries 1491 from Carter Greer of Shelbyville, Texas, and 1490 comes from Fletcher Farnsworth of Altmont, Utah. This is our only class within the division, so first and second within Class 202 will become your division champions for the senior heifer calf division. Over in your Key Angus show ring, we have our division winners for our judge, Mr. Taylor Frank, to select your grand and reserve grand champion Key Angus heifers. From your first division, your champion was 1540 from Baron Strope, the reserve being 1539 from Luke Jennings. From your second division of early junior heifer calves, champion 1541 from Baron Strope. And from your third and final division, your champion junior yearling is entry 1542 from Miley Parker.
Well, we have an interesting pair here of heifers in the Charolais side. These are some September heifers, 2 in this class, and then these are the only 2 in this division. So they're champion and reserve, first and second in this class, and they're good heifers. They're certainly deserving of a little more competition, but they're different heifers. So it makes for an interesting decision. The heifer I opted to use, I think, is just a little cowier. Just a little more function and practicality for her, for me. With that said, she's a plainer heifer. She's a little plainer fronted. She's a little plainer in the set to her hind leg from a balance standpoint, but she uses it well. She can get out and go, and she's just deeper sided, bigger bodied. Has got a little more look of flesh and ease and a little more of a low maintenance cow look to me. So while she's plainer, I would like to change that, but I think she's just a more practical heifer. The peach colored heifer here, attractive, good necked heifer that gets a little tighter bodied. She's got plenty of muscle. She's correct in her lines. So I think she's a really good female that way. Just like to soften her up a little bit, give her just, again, a little more look of easier doing, easier fleshing kind of a female there. But if you like heifers that got just a tick more look and want to prioritize that there in that pair, that's certainly understandable. I think maybe if we combine these 2, you'd have just an outstanding female, but 2 different types of females, but good heifers nonetheless. Congratulations on that division.
Some results to go over for your Key Angus heifer show. Your grand champion Key Angus heifer was 1540 from Baron Stroke. The reserve grand champion Key Angus heifer was 1542 from Miley Parker. Within your Key Angus show, we have paused for pictures at the backdrop with our official photographers of Legacy Livestock Imaging. Once those pictures have concluded, we'll get back right into our Key Angus show. Some results to get to in your Charolais show. Class 202, second place, and your reserve percentage senior heifer calf champion was 1491 from Carter Greer. First place and your percentage senior heifer calf champion was 1490 from Fletcher Farnsworth. In the ring at this time for the Charolais show is going to be Class 203A of late summer yearling heifers. We'll have a single entry. 1492 comes from Aubrey Mitchell of Justin, Texas. Date of birth is July 16th of 2024.
Just a single entry over here in our percentage show. Summer born heifer here, very powerful in terms of muscle. Lots of top in this heifer and lots of quarter. You like that about her. Hip and hind leg have some attractiveness, but in some other ways she's maybe a tick plain. She got a little bit of navel there, a little bit maybe plainer necked in some ways, but really a powerful female. Love the width and dimension and substance of this heifer. Be fun to bring her back out here in a minute.
Results for Class 203A of late summer yearling heifers. First place, 1492 from Aubrey Mitchell. We will now work to bring up Class 203B within your Charolais show. These will be summer yearling heifers. We'll have a single entry that will make up this class as well. This is entry 1494 from Jackson Stone of Clinton, Missouri.
Well, nice heifer here again, single entry May heifer, very moderate in size. That's okay with me, but she's stout and powerful. She's deep. She's flexible and sound off of both ends, and so neat fronted. Gets a little higher in her tail head there from time to time, maybe just a touch shorter hip. a little shorter sided, but love her flexibility and love that combination of some dimension with moderation. So good female there, here to win this class. Congratulations.
Results coming in for Class 203B of your summer yearling Charolais heifers. First place, 1494 from Jackson Stone. At this time, we'll now gather up our first place winners from Classes 203A and B, and our judge, Mr. Shane Work, will select your percentage intermediate heifer champions. And as we just mentioned, our judge is Mr. Shane Work. He's from Herman, Minnesota. He's a regional manager for ST Genetics, formerly managed the Purebred beef unit at Kansas State University. He's a Hereford and Angus breeder. He has a wife, Ashley, 3 kids, Nora, who's 8, Brooks, who just turned 7 on Friday, and Ivy, who is 5. So we appreciate Mr. Shane Work taking his time to evaluate our Charolais show here at the 2026 National Western.
Well, we got a nice pair of summer-born heifers here, kind of May, June, July deals, and just a good pair of females. Appreciate the structure in both of these heifers. I think they're really sound and get out and go off of both ends. Like that about them. A heifer that wins the first class has got a lot of power. There's a tick more performance in her here visually. She's stout and big-hipped and she's not quite as soft in terms of just the shape of her rib cage, or the depth of her rib cage. She has some shape to it, but maybe like to soften her up a little bit there in her forerib and flank. Certainly like to clean her navel up, give her a little neater look that way. But she's a real power female that's certainly got a lot of good things about her. Heifer that wins the second class is a heifer that's very sound. Again, she's got some ribs, she's got a little more body, a little more softness there. She too's got plenty of hip and stoutness. She's moderate, maybe starting to push the limits on that side of maybe being a little too moderate, maybe even. But that's a heifer that's very clean fronted. We would like to set her tail head in just a little neater into her top line if we could. Change that about her. But 2 really nice females. I think there's more look and quality for me in the young man's heifer. She'll be champion. The young ladies will be reserved. Congratulations.
Results coming in from your Charolais show ring. Your champion percentage intermediate heifer comes out of Class 203B. That is 1494 from Jackson Stone. Your reserve champion comes out of Class 203A. That is 1492 from Aubrey Mitchell. At this time, within our Charolais show, we will now bring up Class 204. These will be junior yearling heifers. We'll have a single entry that makes up this class. 1499 comes from Lainey Trowernick of Wymore, Nebraska. This is the only class in the division, so therefore, first place for Class 204 will become your champion senior heifer. Over in your key show ring, we now have moved on to our open Key Angus female show. This is going to be Class 301 of Key Angus heifers, which were calved April 2025. We'll have entries 40, 48 coming from Luke Jennings, and 40, 49 comes from Katie and Sam Rutger.
Just a single entry over here on our junior yearling division in the percentage show. Just a massive female in terms of huge-bodied and ribbed, soft in her appearance, and gives you that look of some easy flushing. She's stout-hipped. She's powerful. She's starting to get a little closer there to production kind of look, which is obviously exactly what we want this time of year with these aged heifers. She's made well in terms of balance also. She's getting maybe a touch soft in her top, but again, she's so big-bodied and getting to that point in life where she's, again, getting closer to production, so that can happen. She's maybe a touch tentative. She's certainly not unsound. Maybe she's a little tentative on this surface. It's obviously a little different than cattle are normally used to dealing with, but big-bodied, big-hipped heifer that's made nice as well. Really good female here to win this division. Certainly would have been worthy of plenty of competition. Congratulations to that young lady on her division champion.
Results for Class 302 of your Key Angus Heifer Show. First place was 40-50 coming from Baron Stroke. Within your Key Angus Show, we will have all of our class winners return from 301 and 302. Our judge, Mr. Kendall Bremer, will select your champion and reserve champion late junior heifer calves for the division. Over in your Charolais show ring, we now have brought back all of our division winners, and our judge will take the time to select your grand and reserve grand champion percentage Charolais heifers. From your first division of your junior heifer calves, your champion 1484 comes from Alyssa Fiddler, the reserve being 1488 from Gates Puster. From your second division, your champion senior heifer calf 1490 from Fletcher Farnsworth, the reserve being 1491 from Carter Greer. In your third division of intermediate heifers, your champions 1494 from Jackson Stone, the reserve being 1492 from Aubrey Mitchell. And from your fourth and final division of senior heifers, your champion 1499 from Laney Trowernick. Those are your division winners. For your judge, Mr. Shane Work, to select your grand and reserve grand champion percentage Charolais heifers. Your champion late junior heifer calf within your Key Angus female show is going to be entry 4050 from Baron Stroke. The reserve being from Class 301, that is 4048, coming from Luke Jennings. Congratulations to our division winners, and we will move on to Class 303 within our Key Angus show.
Well, we get out here to pick your champion percentage heifer, and really a nice show here to start off this morning, and a good set of females and a good group of kids showing them and doing a great job out here, and just a nice show, and been fun to go through here. The heifer that wins the first class, the young lady with the blue sweater there, really a nice female. Just as an outside observer to your breed, she gives you almost just a little bit more of a purebred look than maybe a lot of these heifers have, and just an attractive female. She's just one of those that combines a lot of good things. She isn't quite as out there in terms of a couple pieces, in terms of front end, as some of the heifers that we've seen, but she balances up so well and her pieces fit together yet that I like that part about her. She's correct in her lines. Her structure's good. There's enough to her. She's going to be just a tick more frame probably than some of these heifers as a mature cow, but she's not out of bounds clearly by any means in that, and her quality is really good. Heifer that wins the second division, the young man's here, is a close pair, two different kinds of heifers. She just had more practicality for me and a little more of a cow look. You get her out here, she's certainly plainer than some of the other heifers we have, so maybe change that about her. But in terms of a low maintenance cow for that young man down the line, I think she does really well that way. Heifer here that wins the intermediate division, the young man that's turning right now. Heifer that's really moderate, maybe to the point where she's just a little bit more on that end of the spectrum in size, and maybe we give her just a tick more performance. But she's attractive fronted. She's very sound structured. I really like that about her. She's bold in her rib cage and has enough muscle as well. Again, gets out here and maybe just a little plainer in the way that her tail head sets into her top line. And maybe we could give her just a little more strength ahead from a practicality standpoint, but a good heifer. Heifer that wins the final division out here, heifer that's, probably could be freshened up just a tick, but this is a heifer that's also getting ready to do her job in life and get into production, and love that about her. She's so big ribbed, she's so massive in terms of just her overall body dimension. She's, again, as you get her out here, maybe she gets a little easier in her loin, just her overall top line, but again, she's bred, she's getting ready to calve, and so you got to take that into consideration. I think her pieces are still good. She's really attractive in her hip and hind leg set. Maybe just a touch straighter shouldered than some, but a heifer that's certainly good enough in terms of structure. That's nitpicking a really nice heifer. Just love her massiveness, love her body. There was a really nice reserve division heifer there that was come out of our first division. That's certainly competitive in my mind as well. Maybe not quite as much to her as some heifers that are out here when we get her back out here, but a good competitive heifer that is worthy of being mentioned as well. So great group of cattle, great group of kids out here. I'll show you the two that I like best today, but let's give them a round of applause here. Congratulations on our champion drive.
Your grand champion percentage Charolais heifer comes from your first division of junior heifer calves. It is 1484 from Melissa Fiddler. Your reserve grand champion percentage Charolais heifer comes from your fourth division of senior heifers. That is your champion 1499 from Laney Trowernick. Congratulations to our Charolais exhibitors. Your results for Class 303 within your Key Angus Heifer Show. Second place and your reserve early junior heifer calf was entry 4052. That comes from Katie and Sam Rutger of Montague, Texas. Your class winner and your champion early junior heifer calf was 4051. That comes from Baron Strope of O'Neill, Nebraska. And the ring at this time for your Key Show will be Class 304 of Key Angus heifers, calved February of 2024. Class 304 has a single entry 4053 from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. This is the only entry in its class and the only class within its division. So first place for Class 304 will become your champion junior yearling heifer. Results for Class 304 of your Key Angus heifer show. First place 4053. It also becomes your champion junior yearling from Miley Parker. At this time within the Key Angus show, we will work to set up our ring for our division winners to come back for your grand and reserve grand champion Key Angus heifer selections. Now in your Key Angus show ring is going to be your division winners. From your first division of late junior heifer calves, your champion 4050 from Baron Stroke. The reserve being 4048 from Luke Jennings. From your second division of early junior heifer calves, your champion 4051 from Baron Stroke. The reserve being 4052 from Katie and Sam Rutger. And from your third and final division of junior yearlings, your champion 4053 from Miley Parker. Those are your entries for your divisions, and those divisions are now in consideration for your grand and reserve grand champion Key Angus heifers. For those of you that have been following along, this is our open Kania and Key Angus show. We have a open judge of Kendall Bremer. Hey, Kendall, along with his wife Jessica, are the owners of Bremer Show Cattle in Blakesburg, Iowa. They raise competitive show cattle and market them across the country. Their herd is diverse with breeding seed stock, focusing primarily on Maine Anjou and Kania along with show steers. We appreciate Kendall taking the time to evaluate the 2026 National Western Stock Show's open Key Angus female show here at the brand new event center. For those of you following along in the Charolais show, we have concluded with pictures at our backdrop. We will now move on to our purebred categories of our Charolais show for the juniors. We'll start off with Class 101A of summer heifer calves. Class 101A will have a single entry. 1409 comes from Bracken Thane of Altoona, Utah.
Well, we start off our Purebred Charolais show. Just a single entry young heifer calf here, very attractive fronted, fresh conditioned heifer that's got some rib shape and body shape. Like that about her. Heifer that's made nice. Change her a little bit structurally if we could, but a good single entry here. We'll bring her back out and compare to our other class winners. Congratulations.
Your grand champion Key Angus heifer comes out of your junior yearling division. That is 40-53 from Wiley Parker. Your reserve grade champion comes from your second division. That is 40-51 from Baron Strope. Congratulations to our Key Angus exhibitors. Results coming in out of Class 101A on your Charolais show. First place was 1409 from Bracken Thane. At this time, we will now bring up Class 101B of spring heifer calves. We'll have two entries that will make up Class 101B. They are 1390 from Jillian Stone of Clinton, Missouri, and 1413 comes from Kendall Puster of Richmond, Missouri. for our Kania and Key Angus exhibitors. That did conclude our Key Angus portions of our shows. We'll move on to our junior Kania and Key composite heifer show. We'll start off with Class 101 of Kania heifers, calving May of 2025, once our judges are ready and exhibitors are in the holding ring.
Good pair of May heifers here. Little give and take. Excuse me. The heifer that the young ladies is going to win is just a little higher quality in my mind. She's maybe could be a tick deeper. Maybe we'd change her just a little bit structurally compared to our second place heifer, but she's just a higher quality individual from a balance standpoint. Attractive fronted, her lines are better, her tailhead sets in a little better into her top line. She's got plenty of muscle shape as well. Just a nice May heifer, a good place to start. Young man's got a good May heifer as well. I think from terms of practicality, I like her quite a bit. Maybe just gets to raising her tailhead up a little bit there and just gets you a little plainer in look from a balance standpoint. But a good female nonetheless, a good pair of heifers there to in our second class.
Results for Class 101B. Second place was 1390 from Jillian Stone of Clinton, Missouri, and your class winner was 1413 from Kendall Puster. Moving about the ring now will be Class 101C of spring heifer calves. We'll have entries in this class that include 1410 from Riley Meinhardt. 1382 comes from Cashlyn Krebs. 1408 from Madison Keppen. 1398 comes from Alyssa Slimmer. 1441 from Jacob King. And 1403 rounds out your class from Lana Johnson. Those are your entries that will make up Class 01 of your spring heifer calves in your Charolais show. It looks like our final preparations have been made, and then we will now start off for Class 101 of our Kania heifers, calved in May of 2025. We'll have two entries that make up this class over in your Key show ring. We'll have entries 1502 coming from Jace Laser, and 1503 comes from Maggie Holt. These are your 2 entries that make up Class 101. Class 101 is the only class in its division. So first and second within this class, Mr. Taylor Frank will select as your champion and reserve champion summer heifer calves. Results for Class 101 in your Kania show. Second place in your reserve summer heifer calf champion was 1502 from Jace Blazer. Your class winner and your champion summer heifer calf was 1503 from Maggie Holt. Set to enter the ring for your Kania show will be Class 102. These will be heifers calved April of 2025. We'll have in this class entries 1504 coming from Hadelin Vogel. 1505 from McKinley Stoller. 1543 from Hadley Reimers. And 1506 from Jace Blazer. This is the only class in its division, so therefore your Judge Taylor Frank will select first and second as your champion or reserve champion late junior heifer calves.
Well, really a high-quality class here. April heifer calves, top to bottom, very, very good. It certainly is as good a class as we've seen, and the top end of these two heifers are very, very good. They're not exactly the same, but they're both really high quality. The heifer that wins the class for me does so when we get them out on the move. I think she can just get out and go off of both ends a little better, sets down her feet a little more squarely as she goes and plants. She's not as stout. She's not as powerful. She's a heifer that's going to be a little more moderate her whole life probably, and going to be a little more lower maintenance as a cow, but she's so high quality as well, and she just gets out and goes a little better. If she's not stout enough for you and you like this stouter, more powerful heifer here that's made really, really well, that's a pair that could be switched easily. They're different, but they're both very good. That's a heifer for me, and I think it's just a little more flexibility there. Just gives you a little more of a long-term look, I think, as we think about them down the road. Heifer that's very stout, very bold rib, powerful female, just a true power Charolais heifer, comes in second. Really good in that regard. Standing, you know, she's the one for me to probably win the class, but just gets a little bit tentative as we get her out on the move here. Maybe a little more gathered up in her teats as we think about her long term as a cow, which you know, not the biggest thing, but it's also something that matters. If she could just get out and go and set her feet down just a little square, I think you probably switch that pair. Same goes for the heifer here in third. Stopped. She's very, very high quality. You really like her, but again, she's one that gets a little straighter and just doesn't quite get out and move as well as you'd like to see, and so that kind of slides her into third. But a heifer that's so big-bodied, so big-hipped, I think as you compare her to the ones that remain, there's more balance and quality in her, and so she slides in there to third. If she can get out and go just a little bit more, again, that makes for an even more interesting class. Heifer of the young man's that's next has that soundness advantage. She can get out and move, and I really appreciate that about her. Just not quite as much to her as we compare her to some other heifers in this class. Like to give her just a little more width at her pins and just a little more dimension, but a heifer that has some more flexibility. I like that about her. Again, a practical heifer here, the young ladies. Just one of those stout, deep, powerful Charolais heifers. Love that about her. A little plainer than some as we get her back out here in comparison in a tough class, but a good female. The young lady's got a nice heifer here also that comes next. Again, pretty practical. Just gets a touch plainer. Needs to have just a little more to her, but that's a really good class. There's high quality individuals top to bottom, and two really nice heifers on the top end in my mind.
Results coming in for Class 101C of your spring heifers in your Charolais Purebred Heifer Show. Sixth place was 1408 from Madison Kepin. Fifth place, 1403 from Lana Johnson. Fourth was 1441 from Jacob King. Third was 1398 from Alyssa Slimmer. Second being 1382 from Cashlyn Krebs. And your class winner was 1410 coming from Riley Meinhardt. We'll work to clean up our ring, and we will bring up Class 101D of spring heifer calves. These will be March heifer calves in this next class. Results for Class 102 of your Kania heifers. Fourth place, 1543 from Hadley Reimers. Third place, 1505 from McKinley Stoller. Second, and your reserve late junior heifer calf champion was 1506 from Jace Blazer. And your class winner and champion late junior heifer calf was 1504 from Hadley Vogel. Within your key show, we will now bring up Class 103. These will be February of 2025 heifers. We'll have in this class entries 1509 comes from Brenna Wilkinson. 1510 comes from Maggie Holt. 1511 comes from Jessica Schofield. 1512 comes from Cohen Korber. 1545 from Lander Fitzsimmons. And 1513 comes from Kendall Leonard. Those are your entries that make up Class 103 of your keys. Over in your Charolais show ring, we have Class 101D of spring heifers. Within this class, we have entries 1399 comes from Addison Sweeney. 1411 from Cashlyn Krebs. 1391 from Elsie Thane. 1395 from Josie Schrader. 1394 from Cashton Oshner. And 1393 from Sutton Hill. Those are your entries that make up Class 101D.
Well, apologize for taking just an extra minute or two on this class. But you know, these are kind of classes that you come to the National Western to see, whether you're judging it or exhibiting it or just being a spectator. And very, very good class of Charolais heifers top to bottom. These are all high quality females that are going to go out and I'm sure be very competitive heifers for these young people at any place they're going to take them. They're going to be probably be good cows and be a foundation of their herd as they go forward, because they're that kind of quality level. And so for me, I think it warrants to take an extra couple minutes to sort through this group of heifers, because they're such quality from top to bottom. With that said, the heifer that wins, I'll be the first to admit I'd like to tone her down just a touch size-wise, but her quality is pretty undeniable. You can see right there, she gives you just an outstanding look from the side, yet she has shape, body shape, rib shape, muscle shape, and she gets out and goes so well and so coordinated when she's on the move, and is still so balanced from the side. So that's a really good place to start. The more we get her out here, it's kind of logical, I guess, for me, even though I would like to tone her down just a little bit size-wise. But, you know, within a grouping of really nice heifers, she starts to kind of sort to the top for me as we look at her. Then it gets really a lot of give and take, I think, of all these heifers, and there's a lot of good in all these females, and there's little things you change. But for me, I think the heifer that comes in the second just does the most good things. She's, again, as we compare to the heifer that's right above her, maybe a little uncoordinated in terms of her movement. She's not on sound, but maybe we'd change her a little bit that way, just from a balance standpoint. But I think as we talk about her structure functionally, I think she's pretty good there and has an advantage over these heifers that come next. And she's, again, so big-ribbed, big-hipped, well-made, not as neat-fronted and clean-fronted as the heifer that's in front of her, but her balance is still really good as we compare to some heifers out there. She's just a really good combination kind of a female there. Heifer that comes in third, again, one that is sound structured, but when you think about her in terms of balance, she gets a little funny on their back too, has a little more set to her hind legs, so she's just a little plainer as the two that are above her, but she's sound and she can get out and has more flexibility. That's her advantage over the young lady's heifer here. Really a high quality heifer, just not wanting to get out and go quite as well as I'd like to see today. But again, we're not dealing with the same kind of surfaces that cattle are always used to, so that presents a bit of a challenge there that way. But that's a very high quality heifer, standing, balanced, heifer that is really, really good. Heifer here that is next is very, very good as well, tremendously high quality. Today, she doesn't have quite that rib shape, quite that body depth and softness as some other heifers in this class. Maybe set her tail head in just a little neater as well. But that's a heifer that's got a lot of future again. She's got a chance to mature and maybe get some more of that body depth, and again, makes that class really, really interesting. Heifer here that comes next is really nice as well. A little plainer as comparison to those other heifers that are really high quality. Just an outstanding class, and my compliments to those young people and the breeders of those cattle.
Results coming in for Class 103 of your Key Show. Fourth place was 1513 from Kendall Leonard. Third, 1511 from Jessica Schofield. Second, 1545 from Lander Fitzsimmons. And your class winner was 1509 from Brenna Wilkins. At this time, with your Key Show, we will now move on to Class 104 of Key Heifers. We'll have a single entry that makes up Class 104. It'll be 1515 from Garrett Griswold. Over in your Charolais show ring, we now have Class 101E of Spring Heifer Calves. These are March heifers. We'll have entries 1392 from Hannah Harrison. 1414 comes from Emily Allen. 1386 from Sydney Allard. 1389 from Camille Greer. 1397 from Josie Schrader. And 1387 comes from Avery Sweeney. This is our last class within the division. Results to grab real quick from Class 101D. Sixth place was 1391 from Elsie Thane. Fifth was 1411 from Cashlyn Krebs. Fourth, 1395 from Josie Schrader. Third was 1393 from Sutton Hill. Second was 1394 from Cashton Oshner. And your class winner was 1399 from Addison Sweeney. Results for Class 104 in your Key Show. First place 1515 from Garrett Griswold. At this time within our Key and Enya show, we will now bring back our class winners from Classes 103 and 104. Our judge, Mr. Taylor Frank, will select your champion and reserve champion early junior heifer calves. Your champion early junior heifer calf comes out of Class 103. That is 1509 from Brenna Wilkins. The reserve champion also comes from Class 103. That is 1545 from Lander Fitzsimmons.
Well, another just tremendous class, and 4 nice heifers in here, especially, and 2 really, really good ones here on the top end that are different again in some ways, but both really high quality. The heifer for me, the young lady that's going to win, it does so. She suits me really well in terms of just being one of those combination females that just doesn't have a big hole. Maybe she isn't as good looking quite in terms of her neck as some of those other heifers out here, but she's so practical in her body depth. She's so good in terms of movement and structure, and to me, she still has a good look in terms of balance. Her pieces fit together really, really well. She's deeper bodied, she's deeper sided, she's going to be a tick more moderate maybe, and just a little softer look than the heifer that's in second. I guess that's kind of the biggest thing that sorts these two for me. There's just a touch more of a cow look to her, I guess, for me. And even though the heifer that's in second has some of those more out there, I guess, for lack of a better term, pieces, she's really neat neck. She's really attractive from the side. She's really powerful. And she's a heifer that, perhaps at a given time on the road, she gets just a little bit softer in terms of rib, and she's going to be a whole lot to handle because she has some of those really unique things about her. I think the heifer that wins for me is just a little more of that combination kind of a female that has enough look and does it with a little more practicality. The heifer that gets in second just wants to not handle her rear pastern quite perfectly. Certainly a sound female, but that's a little thing that you have to nitpick to sort those two. Heifer that's in third is really nice as well. Again, she's more moderate. She's a heifer that has, I guess a little less performance than some others out here, but she's still got plenty of performance. I like her kind standing. I like her softness of rib. I like her balance. She just doesn't quite get out and go out on this surface quite as well as you'd like to see off of her rear too. And I'd like to change that about her just a little bit if we could. And if you do, then I really like her kind. But we get her out on the move, just like to change that about her. Again, a heifer here that I think is maybe a tick more flexible in terms of skeleton and has more set and softness to her hind leg, but she's also uncoordinated when she gets out on the move. Detracts a little bit from her balance. Again, for a heifer of her frame size, perhaps we deepen her up and soften her up a little bit. But she's very good neck. She's very big hipped and powerful muscled. There's 4 really nice heifers in that. And that's not to take away anything from these 2 heifers either. They're certainly good, high quality females. I think the heifer that comes out now has just got a little more length, a little more extension, a little more dimension of muscle, and a nice female there as well. Moderate sized, deep ribbed heifer, like that about her, yet maybe just a little too much, and she's getting a little shorter sided, a little flatter in terms of muscle. Very good class again there. Congratulations to those young people.
Results coming in for Class 101E of your spring Charolais heifers. 6th place was 1386 from Sydney Allard. 5th, 1389 from Camille Greer. 4th, 1387 from Avery Sweeney. 3rd, 1397 from Josie Schrader. 2nd, 1392 from Hannah Harrison. And your class winner was 1414 from Emily Allen. At this time, within your Charolais show, we will work to clean up our ring and now bring back our class winners for your judge to select your champion and reserve champion spring calves. Your results for Class 105 of your Kania Heifer show second place, and your reserve champion senior heifer calf is entry 1521 from Henry Michael. Your class winner and champion senior heifer calf was 1519 from Jessica Schoolfield. Moving in the ring now at this time for your key show is going to be Class 106. Within this class, we'll have 4 entries that make it up. It'll be 1524 coming from Turner Longacre, 1525 from Maggie Griswold, 1526 from Miley Parker, 1528 comes from Emery Robinson. Those are your entries that make up Class 106. Class 106 is the only class in its division, so first and second within this class will become your champion and reserve champion late spring yearlings. And once again, to remind everybody, over in your Charolais show ring, we have our class winners returning back from classes 101A, B, C, D, and E. And our judge will now select your champion and reserve champion spring calf females.
Well, just a tremendous division of purebred heifers here in our first division. Tons of quality in these heifer calves, and challenging to sort because there's little differences and a little bit of different types and kinds, but also just so fun to see cattle of that high quality and that depth, and some of the classes we had come back out here, and just very, very good. And these young people are out here doing a great job, and my compliments to them as exhibitors, and my compliments to the breeders of these heifers. Heifer that wins the first class is a nice female, certainly. Young lady's doing a good job. You get her out here, there's not quite as much to her. Of course, she's decidedly younger than some of these other ones, so that's understandable, but also a little plainer in her look. But that's a nice female. She's got a bright future ahead of her. Heifer that wins the second class, get her back out here, and again, a heifer that's high quality, but maybe doesn't hit you quite as hard as some others out here, just from a balance and attractiveness standpoint. But it's a heifer that's good. She's got some rib shape, she's got some muscle, she's well presented, and a heifer that is going to be a nice project, certainly for this young lady down the road. A good female. Heifer that wins the third class is interesting for me. She's so good on the move, and that's why, for me, she won that class. She's more moderate. There's, there isn't quite as much of this heifer out here, but that's, I think there's plenty to her. I think there's plenty of her. Maybe some of these we'd tone down just a touch if we could. I just like her soundness, her practicality in that regard. There was a really nice heifer that was in second that's competitive out here as well, and I think she had that soundness advantage of that pair of really good heifers, even though there's maybe just a bit less of her out here today. But that's a really good female, going to, I think, be very competitive and do a lot of good things as well. Heifer with a tremendous amount of look and balance and quality. The young lady that's got a green sweater there that won that fourth class. Just incredible from the side, really attractive in her front 1/3, really correct in her lines. Maybe there's a tick less practicality in her than the two heifers that are on the other side, but I don't see her as some kind of hard doing, wrong kind of heifer. There's just a tick more frame size. It's a small thing to nitpick of a tremendous heifer, but when you get a quality division like this, you got to nitpick them a little bit to sort through them, and so that's the way I read her in terms of just being outstanding from the side and just tremendously good balance, and just high quality, but maybe we change that one little thing. And again, that was a really, really good class. There was lots of good heifers in that class. A nice heifer that was second. Heifer that wins the final class, for me, again, a really good pair of heifers there that were first and second, that were competitive, maybe a little different. I just like her combination. She's sound structured, she's got ribs, she's got enough dimension, she's got performance, yet not maybe too much in terms of, as we think about them as mature cows. She's just a really good combination female that has all those practical things, yet has a nice enough look as well. There's heifers out here that are neater necked and more attractive, but her balance fits together really, really well, and her pieces fit together. And again, beat a really good heifer there that's in second. So A really, really good division. Again, my compliments to these people that bred these cattle. These young people out here doing a really good job. Certainly don't want to diminish the heifers that came out of our first couple classes because they're very good. But when we get out here and look at them and study them harder and put a really hard study on a very high quality set of cattle, the heifers that come from the final three classes kind of separate themselves, and they're very, very good. I'll take a look at them for one more quick minute here, and then I'll show you the two that I like best. But tremendous set of females. Let's give them a round of applause on an excellent, excellent division.
Your champion spring calf comes from Class 101D. That is $13.99 from Addison Sweeney. Your reserve champion comes out of Class 101E. That is $14.14 from Emily Allen. Congratulations to our division winners. We will clear out our ring and bring up our next class, which will be Class 102A of junior heifers. Making their way into the ring now is Class 102A of your Charolais junior heifers. Within this class, we'll have entries 1430 from Sarah Allard, 1423 from Easton Hill, 1416 comes from Blake Mueller, 1420 from Jerice Mischler, 1429 from Josie Schrader, 1418 from Camille Greer, 1427 from Aubrey Mitchell, and 1421 rounds out your class from Madison Keppen. Those are your entries that will make up Class 102A. Results for Class 106 of your Kania Heifer show: fourth place, 1526 from Miley Parker. Third place, 1525 from Maggie Griswold. Second place and your reserve champion late spring yearling was 1528 from Emery Robertson. And your class winner and your champion late spring yearling was 1524 from Turner Longacre. Within your key show, we will now bring up Class 107 of heifers calved in March of 2024. We will have entries in that class coming from 1530 of Taylor Ford, 1531 from Linder Fitzsimmons, 1535 will come from Brenna Wilkins, and 1538 from Kaylee Jennings.
Yeah, just pull her ahead of her. Well, it's another good class of heifers here. We get out into our February aged females in another division, and really, really good set of heifers. There's three really nice heifers on here, and again, there's differences. Heifer that wins the class for me gets out and really goes. She wins it at the ground. Yet I also think she's just, again, one of those kind of combination females that she can combine that function and with a little more look. You know, there's bigger, stouter, more powerful heifers out here. For me, there's enough performance in her. Maybe there isn't for you as you think about the strengths of the breed. But for me, she's a heifer that combines soundness of structure. She has more look than the heifer that's in second. She combines that with enough dimension, enough body, and there's enough heifer there for me. I think that's just a really nice place to start that combines a lot of good things. Heifer that's got a little more to her that's in second, but she's also a little plainer in her look. She's a heifer that's sounder than the heifer that's third, but again, a little plainer than her. So that's a really practical heifer. Love her rib shape, love her hip and dimension. She's got performance. Just a nice female there that's really useful, really practical, and I think she gets out and goes better than the heifer that's in third, even though she is a little plainer. Tremendous look and quality in this third place heifer here, the young ladies. Stopped, you really, really like her. She's correct in her line. She's long fronted. She's extended in a lot of ways. Just a really good look. She just doesn't want to get out and go quite as well off her hind two. She's just maybe a little tighter in her spine. And maybe she doesn't have quite as much true rib as some other heifers in this class, but that's a very high quality individual that has a tremendous look from the side. Heifer that comes next is nice. One that as we look at her in terms of structure is kind of where she lands there in fourth as we compare to the ones that are below her. Maybe not perfect in terms of how it looks balance-wise as she gets out and goes, but there's more practical structure there, more soundness for me. And heifer that has a nice enough look as well. There's heifers that have more to her, certainly in this class. but I think it's a female. It's just a little sounder. Heifer that comes next is got a better foot quality than the heifer that's below her. Heifer that has enough look, has some body shape, just a good female. Just doesn't hit you quite as hard as some other heifers that we've seen, but a good heifer. Heifer that comes next, like to change her feet if we could. She's wants to roll in a little bit there on her front toes a touch. A little plainer as well. Heifer that's got a lot to her in terms of body shape and muscle shape, just doesn't give you quite as good a look as we'd like to see. Heifer here that comes next is that kind of big high performance extended heifer. Has probably some of what traditional things that you'd think about in terms of Charolais females, because there's a lot of heifer there. Just needs to be a better balanced package. Needs to be a little sounder structured package as well. Heifer that comes next, again, is one that just doesn't quite get out and go as well as you'd like. Heifer that's got quality and got a good look and is in a tough class, but just needs to be a touch sounder if we could make her that way.
The results for Class 107 of your Kania heifers: third place was 1530 from Taylor Ford. Second place was 1538 from Kaylee Jennings. That also becomes your reserve champion early spring yearling. And your class winner and your champion early spring yearling is 1531 from Lander Fitzsimmons. At this time within your key show, we will work to clean up our ring and bring back all of our division winners for a judge to select your grand and reserve grand champion Kania heifer. In your Charolais show ring, we have now Class 102B of junior heifer calves. These are going to be January heifers. Results coming in out of Class 102A. Eighth place was 1420 from Jersey Mischler. Seventh was 1416 from Blake Mueller. Sixth was 1430 from Sarah Allard. Fifth was 1427 from Aubrey Mitchell. Fourth, 1421 from Madison Keppen. Third, 1418 from Camille Greer. Second was 1423 from Easton Hill. And your class winner was 1429 from Josie Schrader. In the ring at this time for your Kania show is going to be your division winners. For your junior show for the heifers from your first division's your champion summer heifer calves, 1503 from Maggie Holt. Reserve being 1502 from Jace Blazer. From your second division of late junior heifer calves, your champion 1504 Hadley Vogel. The reserve being 1506 from Jace Blazer. From your third division of champions of your early junior heifer calf, 1509 from Brenna Wilkins. The reserve being 1545 from Lander Fitzsimmons. From your fourth division of senior heifer calves, your champions 1519 comes from Jessica Schoolfield, the reserve being 1521 from Henry Michael. From your fifth division of late spring yearlings, your champion 1524 from Turner Longacre, the reserve being 1528 from Emery Robinson. And in your sixth and final division, your champion early spring yearling is 1531 from Lander Fitzsimmons, the reserve being 1538 from Kaylee Jennings. These are your division winners. For your judge, Mr. Taylor Frank, to select your grand and reserve grand champion, Key Females.
Another good class on the Charolais side, and quality all the way through, and give and take here. There's lots to like in these heifers, and there's small things you change, but two good heifers here. For me, the young man with the black shirt, you get him out on the move, and she's very, very good. She's going to win the class for me. I love that she combines that with some rib shape, some moderation in frame size, some stoutness of hip, and some dimension, and still has a quality look as well. She maybe change her head just a little bit, but her balance does fit together very, very well. Just a really nice female that you really like when she's out on the go. Heifer that's in second of the young man's here, a good female too. She's not cooperating quite as well, so there's moments she can hit you a little plainer. She maybe doesn't get her neck quite up as high out of her shoulder as the heifer that wins, but a heifer that's really good. As you compare to the heifers that are below her, the way her lines, her correctness of lines, her hip and hind leg is better, and she has a lot of dimension to her as well, so a nice female there to be second. Heifer that comes third of the young man's next, again, a really powerful female in terms of just dimension and substance out here. A heifer that maybe doesn't, again, handle her hind leg quite perfectly as we get her out and move, and again, maybe hits you just a little plainer from a hind leg set as well, but a nice female there nonetheless. High quality heifer here that comes next of the young man's, and again, one that just maybe doesn't hit you quite as hard in terms of mass and substance today, but that's a heifer that's got quality and balance, so I think she's going to be a heifer that down the road probably has good days as well, and is very competitive, and so that's a nice female there nonetheless. Heifer that comes next has got a little more power and substance than the heifer that remains. I'd like to change her hind leg if we could. I'd like to just change her in her rear third of her body compared to the heifers that are above her. Heifer that comes next to young ladies is very high quality from a balance standpoint. Just needs to be a little more of this heifer in terms of width and substance and dimension.
Your grand champion Kania heifer comes from your third division. That is going to be your champion early junior heifer 1509. Comes from Brennan Wilkins. Congratulations to our champion. We'll move in our reserve from the division for consideration now for the reserve grand champion.
Sneak this division in real quick on this side of the Charolais. Not quite what we had for a division last time, but still very good, and that was just a tremendous division that we had in those last ones. There's still a lot of quality in these heifers in these two classes. Heifer that wins the first class, we've seen bigger, stouter, farther along heifers that walk through this ring today, but this heifer is very high quality, and she's so sound structured. There's a lot of good in this heifer and a lot of future to this female. There's stouter ones, and maybe we'd get her just a tick more width and muscle if we could, but she's so sound structured and is really well balanced as well. So I think that's a heifer that maybe is not for everybody, if you like them a little stouter farther along, and that's okay. But for me, I think there's a ton of practicality in there, and yet she still does it with a really high quality look. Heifer that wins the second class is really, really powerful. She too is very sound structured and good at the ground, and that's as big a reason as why she's out here in the first place hole as any. She's just a stout, powerful female. You know, maybe for me personally, change her head slightly, but I don't think there's a problem that way. Get her out here every now and then. She wants to raise her tail head up just a little bit. Maybe like to set that back into her top line just a touch if we could. But she's got some interesting pieces in terms of being that flexible and that stout. And it's a combination that's certainly hard to do. So just a really good pair of females. Kind of for me, we had some good seconds certainly, and a lot of good cattle that came through the class. But I think as we look at them and study them, it comes down to a decision between the two class winners for me. Even though they're not really the same, other than being very, very good in terms of their structure, there's some differences, but I think they're the two best ones. For me, I think it's really, really close. But I'll use this young man that won the second class to be champion, young lady that won the first class to be reserve.
Your champion junior calf for your Charolais is going to come out of class 102B. That is 1444 from Andrew Moore. Your reserve champion is going to be 1429 from Josie Schrader. At this time, if I could have you direct your attention, the American Key Association would like to have a special presentation. The American Key Angus Association is proud to congratulate the Brandon Rock family of Long Valley, South Dakota as the 2025 Commercial Producer of the Year. Brandon and his wife, Santa, along with their children, Dawson, Madeline, and Landry, operate a diversified farm and ranch in southwestern South Dakota, raising both registered and commercial Key Angus cattle. Their family began utilizing Key Angus genetics in the early 1980s and has continued to rely on those genetics to strengthen and advance their operation through their generations. They market their bulls each April through their hybrids for profit sale, background their calves each fall, and also provide home-raised beef to customers seeking a high-quality product. Brandon firmly believes that submitting phenotypic data helps improve his cow herd year after year. He also believes that when the feed efficiency of Key Angus cattle is combined with their exceptional carcass quality, it results in a truly superior product for today's consumer. Please join us in congratulating Brandon, Santa, and their family as the American Key Angus Association's 2025 Commercial Producer of the Year.
Well, we get back over here on our Charolais side and keep moving along. We have a single entry November heifer here, and a heifer that certainly could stand some competition. Really a nice female in a lot of ways. She balances up pretty well from the side. She's a heifer that's sound enough, I think, in terms of movement. Heifer that's got some rib. There's just a lot of good things about this female. We'll get her back out here in comparison to our other cattle in this division and give her a harder sort, but a nice female and a deserving class winner.
The results coming in for Class 103A of Winter Charolais heifers. First place was 1453 from Isom Marston. Making their way into the ring now will be Class 103B of Senior heifer calves. We'll have entries in this class from 1446 of Henry Chapman of Afton, Texas. 1452 comes from Breck Barnard of Fooseland, Illinois. 1447 comes from Cashlin Krebs of Gordon, Nebraska. 1451 comes from Bristol Girds of West Point, Iowa. And 1448 comes from Camille Greer of Shelbyville, Texas. Those are your entries that will make up Class 103B. This is our last class within the division of senior calves. We welcome back our key exhibitors to the show ring. We now have in the ring for our open show. This will be Class 101 of Kania heifers, calved May of 2025. We'll have two entries that will make up this class. It'll be entries 4002 comes from Jace Blazer, and 4003 comes from Maggie Holt. This is the only class within the division, so first and second within Class 101 will become your champion and reserve champion summer heifer calves.
Good class of September heifers here, and there's three very good heifers and really close in my mind. The heifer for me that wins the young ladies is she's really nice. She just does a lot of things well in terms of being sound structured, attractive in her makeup, big bodied. She's a heifer that maybe isn't quite as stout, I guess, as the heifer that's in second, but that's a really heavy muscled female that comes in second. She's got plenty of muscle. Just comparing those two, she's high quality. There's a lot to like in that female. Really good place to start. Closer pair between second and third for me. I guess I'd probably, an outside observer for the breed, say this heifer's maybe a little more of a traditional Charolais. Does a lot of the things that you expect Charolais to do good with in terms of just super powerful, super high performance, lots of just power in this female. She needs to soften up a little bit. I'd change her in her rear third as a little bit as we could in terms of balance. She can't match up the balance that the heifer that wins the class can. But that heifer's got a lot of good, and she probably needs to be a little softer, but she's probably going to keep getting better. She's a later maturing female. Heifer that comes in third, I think as we compare her to those below her, she's a big advantage in terms of quality. She's attractive in her makeup. There's not as much stoutness as the heifers on either side of her, but there's enough to her. She's just a nice female in a good place there to be in that spot. Heifer that comes next, again, one of these really stout-made, powerful Charolais heifers. Maybe like to neaten her up a little if we could. A little plainer heifer here that rounds out, but a nice female that's going to be moderate in her size.
The results coming in from Class 103B of your senior Charolais heifers. Fifth was 1446 from Henry Chapman. Fourth was 1451 from Bristol Girds. Third was 1448 from Camille Greer. Second was 1447 from Cashlin Krebs. And your class winner was 1452 from Breck Barnard. At this time within our Charolais show, we will bring back our class winners from 103A and 103B. Our judge will select your champion and reserve champion senior calves.
Well, we had a fun division here in our fall heifers here. Heifer that wins the first class is very extended. She's long-sided. She gets her put together, so her balances up pretty well. There's heifers. This heifer that wins the second class is definitely bigger bodied and softer, and maybe we drop her down a little on her rib. She doesn't get out and go quite as well as maybe the heifer that wins the second class either, but that's a nice female, very good, just a single entry, but very competitive out here in this division. Heifer that wins the second class, I guess you get her out here again. She suits me pretty well. She's a combination female in that she has the functional things that I like to start with in terms of structure, in terms of frame size, and in terms of body depth and fleshing ability. Yet there's such a high quality look to her from the side. We've seen, a little stouter heifers come through here, but there's certainly more than enough muscle for me and her. Just a really, really nice female. That's a great place to start for me in this division. She's going to be your champion. I'm going to make the young lady that won the second class, there was second in that class, be reserved. Congratulations.
Your champion senior calf is entry 1452 coming from Breck Barnard. And the reserve champion is the second place from that same class, 1447 from Cashlin Krebs. Congratulations to our division winners. We will now move on to our intermediate division within our Charolais show. We'll start up with class 104 of summer yearling heifers. That class will have entries 1459 from Bailey Ferguson and 1454 from Sutton Hill. Over in your Key show, we will have in the ring at this time will be class 102 of Key heifers. Calved April of 2025 will have 4 entries. 4007 comes from Hadley Vogel, 4008 from McKinley Stoller, 4009 from Hadley Reimers, and 4010 comes from Jace Blazer. This is the only class in its division, so our judge will select first and second as your champion and reserve champion late junior heifers. The results that came in from class 101 In your Kania Heifer Show, second place in your reserve summer heifer calf champion was 4002 from Jace Blazer, and your class winner and champion summer heifer calf was 4003 from Maggie Holt.
Well, we just got a couple intermediate heifers out here and in our class and in this division. But these are two high-quality heifers here that have been fun to compare them to a few more because I think they'd have a chance to be right where they are anyways because they're nice females here. I'll just talk about each one of them quick and then let you know which way we rank them, 1 versus 2. But heifer that's right out in front right now, the young ladies, she's a heifer that's a little sounder, but maybe not quite as sound as I'd like to see. If we had a little more to her, you'd like to see that as well, but she's very correct in her line. She's attractive in her front 1/3. She's a nice made female that does have a bit of a structural advantage, but I think we'd maybe like to get her just a little sounder if we could. The heifer that's in second is not in second, that's standing right here in second, the young man's right now, is so bold in the way that she's made. She's stout-hipped. She's big and bold in her rib cage. You love that about her. I mean, she could be maybe a touch fresher, but that's nitpicking. You know, she also has that ability to put on some body condition, which is going to serve her well later in life. She doesn't get out and go as well as I would like to see her to ideally. But as I just discussed, maybe the heifer that the young lady has isn't maybe perfect that way either. So I think there's more quality in her advantage, and there's just more stoutness. Young man will be your division champion. Young lady will be reserve.
Results coming in from Class 104 on your Charolais show ring. Second place and your reserve intermediate champion female is entry 1459 from Bailey Ferguson. And your class winner and champion for the intermediate division is 1454 from Sutton Hill. Congratulations to our division winners. We'll now move on to our next division, which is our spring division. We'll start off with Class 105A of spring yearling heifers. These will be April heifers. Within this class, we'll have 3 entries: 1469 from Tana Cassett of Webb City, Missouri, 1468 from Laney Farnsworth of Altamont, Utah, and 1471 from Calvin Hayes Chapman of Afton, Texas. Those are your 3 entries that make up your next class of Charolais.
trio of heifers here and get into our April junior yearlings. And young man's going to win here in the purple shirt. Heifer that, you know, maybe one that could get out and go just a little bit better off of both ends. But when she stopped, there's a big advantage in terms of quality and substance. She's plenty far along in terms of condition for me. I like to freshen her up a little bit. But I think there's just enough quality advantage in her and the way her pieces fit together, even though with that added condition, she's not as neat-necked in her front third as some of these are. Heifer that's nice in second as well. She is longer and more extended in her front 1/3. She is probably a little fresher in her condition, but with that, you know, there's a little more frame, and maybe she's not going to be quite as easy doing later in life either. So stopped, you really like her look. She just doesn't get out and go quite as well as you'd like to see either. So maybe like to change that a little bit about her, but standing right there, just a really nice look from the side. There's more length, there's more extension, and there's more substance in the heifer that comes next. She gets a little plain and a little rounder again. Maybe nitpick her structure a little if we could. That's a really heavy muscled, bold ribbed heifer there that the young ladies that comes next.
Your results coming in for Class 102 of your Key Show. Fourth place was Hadley Reimers. Third place was McKinley Stoller. Second place in your reserve late junior heifer calf champion was 4010 from Jace Blazer. And your class winner and champion of your late junior heifer calf division was 4007 from Hadley Vogel. At this time within our Key Show, we will bring up Class 103 of Key heifers, which were calved in February of 2025.
Good pair of heifers here in our March class, and a real stout power female here, the young man's to win. If we're going to nitpick a really nice heifer, maybe she could get out and go with a little more flexibility off of both ends, but you know, we also realize this isn't the most comfortable surface for these cattle either. So that's nitpicking a really nice heifer that has a ton of good. She's tremendously bold rib, tremendously big, stout hip. You know, there's going to probably be plenty of frame size for me personally as a mature cow, but the quality there in this pair is undeniable with her, and she combines such a good look with so much power and dimension and shape. That's just a really nice place to start. Young lady's got a nice heifer here in second as well. She's a little more toned down, a little more moderate in her frame size. Appreciate that about her. There's plenty of meat and muscle in her as well. Maybe she's not as bold ribbed. Maybe we change her a little bit in how she goes off of both ends and handles her hind leg. But that's a nice second place female there. It's a good pair of heifers.
Some results to go over real quick before we continue on in our Charolais show. Class 105A, third place was 1468 from Laney Farnsworth. Second place was 1469 from Tana Cassett, and your class winner was 1471 from Calvin Chapman. The results from the class that was just in the ring, which was Class 105B of early spring yearlings. Second place went to 1465 from Jordan Campbell, and your class winner was 1464 from Easton Hill. Within our Charolais show, we will now bring up our class winners from classes 105A and B. Our judge will select your champion and reserve champion spring females. Over in your key show ring is Class 103. We'll have two entries that make up this class. We'll have entry 4015 coming from Brenna Wilkins and 4018 from Lander Fitzsimmons.
Well, we're out here with our kind of March, April junior yearling division, and a really nice group of females. There's class winner in the first class here is a heifer that, in a lot of ways, suits me pretty well. There's some things that we would like to change about her in some ways also. So she's an interesting heifer. I think as you talk about a mature frame size, as you talk about doability, that's a lot to like in that heifer for me. Now, she's taken it a little too far in the way that she is that easy doing, that I'd like to really peel her back in terms of body condition, really, giving us some pones there and gets a little more in her front 1/3. And so that detracts a little bit from her balance. And I also think I kind of mentioned her structure is in class. I think you get her back out here. I think skeletally she's just fine. I think it's probably more of that body condition that's restricting her movement a little bit there. So that's a heifer that I think is really suits me pretty well in a lot of ways, but there are some things that I'd really like to change about her, and so that gives you some misgivings in that regard. Heifer that wins the second class is really good, high quality in terms of balance. You get her out here, she really excels in terms of just look and attractiveness from the side. She's really attractive in her hip and hind leg. With that, you maybe like to see a little more flexibility there in her hock and in her rear third of her body. And so that's a thing I'd like to change about her a little bit. I'd tone her down just a touch in frame size if I could, but I understand this is obviously a continental breed that has performance, and when people buy Charolais bulls, they typically want power and gas and performance in her. So there's some give and take there in that regard as well. But there are two good class winners that are really different in their kind. But I think the young man that won the second class is the highest quality individual. She's going to be your champion. I'll make the young man that won the first class reserve.
Your champion spring female coming from your Class 105B is 1464 from Easton Hill, the reserve being 1471 from Calvin Chapman. Congratulations to our division winners. Results coming in for Class 103 of your Key Heifers. Second place, 4018, from Lander Fitzsimmons. And your class winner was 4015. That comes from Brenna Wilkins. At this time, within our Key Show, we will start on Class 104. This will be Key Heifers calved in January of 2025. We'll have a single entry that makes up Class 104. That entry is 4020, coming from Garrett Griswold.
Well, a really interesting class here because they're four really high-quality heifers. There's little things we change about each of them, but they're really, really good, and it's really competitive and close, top to bottom. So it makes for an interesting class that's fun to sort and challenging at the same time. I think the heifer that I land on to win is just the soundest, and yet does so with such a good look. As we compare to the heifer that's next, there's more dimension, there's more width, there's more substance to that heifer, and she just really combines things really well in terms of being able to move and still have that good look and still have plenty to her. She's probably got a little, maybe we'd neaten her up and refine her a little in her udder as we could. I do appreciate her kind of starting to get closer to production. That's what these heifers are put on the earth to do, is raise calves and do a good job. And so I appreciate that about her. Maybe would shorten her up just a little bit in her teeth if we could. But that's nitpicking a good heifer. I mean, she gets stopped and gets you a good look, and yet she does so well on the move as well. So that's a heifer that I like pretty well. Heifer that's in second is tricky. She's flatter. She suits me size-wise in terms of moderation, but you'd like to have more to her. And so the heifers that are below her are quite a bit stouter, and like that about her. You'd like to just widen her up. But this heifer, for me, just gets out and goes a little better. She handles her hind leg a little plainly from a balance standpoint, but she can reach and has more flexibility. So for me, she's just a little more practical in that regard. Two really stout, powerful heifers here that are really good that come next. They just need to get out and go a little better. But I think the heifer that is in third has a little more look. When she stopped, there's so much shape and power and dimension that you really, really like her. But she hits awful hard off of those hind two. Would like to really change that about her if you could. Boy, that would make for just a really interesting class because there's a lot of good in her. Stopped. Again, another heifer that's stout and powerful and really nice. She just gets uncoordinated as she gets out and goes. We change the way she is in the rear third of her body on the move. But a heifer that reaches out of her shoulder and has a lot of rib shape. So that's a good class of four really nice females. a fun single entry here of the young ladies, and just a tremendously powerful female. Typifies probably what you think of high quality Charolais heifers. She's powerful and stout and bold and well made still. There's been neater necked heifers here, but this heifer also has so much to her. She's just kind of a beast. If you want to nitpick a really nice heifer, as you get her out and go, is she sound enough? Certainly. Is she as perfect structured as some that we've seen? Maybe not, but again, you say that realizing that, this isn't the most comfortable surface for cattle always, and it's just not something they're necessarily used to, and so we got to take that into account as well. But just you can see right there, it gives her a great look. Certainly a heifer that could stand plenty of competition. We'll bring her back out here in a second and compare her to that last class.
Some results to go over for your Charolais. Results from Class 106A. Fourth place was 1474 from Madison Kippen. Third, 1482 from Jordan Deniso. Second was 1478 from Cashlyn Krebs, and your class winner was 1476. The class that was just in the ring was Class 106B of early junior Charolais yearling heifers. First place was 1480 from J.D. Ledoux. Within your Charolais show ring, we will now bring back our class winners from both those classes, 106A and 106B. Our judge will now select your champion and reserve champion junior females. Over in your key show ring, we now have our class winners returning from classes 103 and 104. Our judge will select your champion and reserve champion early junior heifer calves.
Well, as we get into kind of our January, February older heifer division here, not a huge amount of numbers, but a lot of quality. The first class, there was 4 in there that were all really nice. Our second class winner is really good as well, and so it's a fun division to sort from just having that quality top to bottom and very much competitiveness amongst these heifers. So heifer that won the first class for me did so as you got her out at the ground and yet combined some more look and attractiveness than the heifer that was second in that class. There's a stouter heifer here that wins the second class for sure. Personally, she probably suits me a little more frame size for what I personally like. That's up to you to decide. But she isn't as big hipped and she isn't as powerful as the heifer that wins the second class, but she's very sound. She's really well made. She's attractive. It's a good heifer. Just a really powerhouse heifer here that wins the second class. I mean, she's just a beast. She's just so bold in her shape and bold in her hip, and she's got some bone yet not coarse. She's not as neat necked as some we've seen, but her balance still fits together good. Her pieces fit together well. She's correct in her lines and attractive in her hip and hind leg. She probably could be toned down slightly for me from a frame size standpoint, but that's nitpicking a good heifer. She's not out of bounds, and as I maybe mentioned in a previous division, the high percentage of the time when folks go and buy Charolais bulls in the real world, they're wanting to add pay weight, add power and performance, and so you certainly have to take that into account when you think about it. And she does a lot of that very, very well. So good division. I think heifer for me that won the second class suits me well. She'll be your division champion. I'll use your class winner from the first class to be reserved.
Your champion early junior heifer calf for your Kania show was 4015 from Brenna Wilkins. The reserve comes from that same exact class, 4018 from Lander Fitzsimmons. Congratulations to our division winners in our Key show. And now over in your Charolais ring, we have brought back all of our division winners for our judge to select your grand champion purebred. From your first division, which would be your spring calf champions, your female champion $13.99 from Addison Sweeney. The reserve being $14.14 from Emily Allen. In your second division of junior calves, your champion $14.44 from Andrew Boyer. The reserve being $14.29 from Josie Schrader. In your third division of senior calves, your champion $14.52 from Breck Barnard. The reserve being $14.47 from Cashlyn Krebs. In your fourth division of intermediate females, your champions $14.54 from Sutton Hill, reserve being $14.54 from Bailey Ferguson. In your fifth division, which is your spring females, your champions $14.64 comes from Easton Hill, the reserve being $14.71 from Calvin Chapman. And in your sixth and final division of junior females, champions $14.80 from J.D. Ledoux, and the reserve being $14.76 from Kelly Gaffney. Those are your division winners for your judge, Mr. Shane Work, to do his work and evaluate and select your grand and reserve grand champion females. Results for Class 105 of your Kania heifers, which were calved in October of 2024. First place was 40-25 from Henry Michael. That was also the only entry in the class and the only class in the division. So therefore, Henry becomes your champion senior heifer calf. At this time, within our Kania show, we will bring back all of our division winners, and our judge will take the time to select your grand champion, Kanias. Excuse me, I was mistaken. We're going to go on to Class 106. Class 106 will be Kania heifers calved April of 2024. This will be the only class within the division. We'll have entries 40-28 coming from Turner Longacre, 40-29 from Maggie Griswold, 40-30 from Miley Parker, and 40-32 from Emery Robertson.
Well, we get back out here for our champion Charolais junior heifer here at the National Western, and just a really good group of females, and it's been such a outstanding show and a fun show to judge, and a fun show for I'm sure you guys to spectate and view, and just really, really good from top to bottom. A lot of depth in these classes, and just a lot of quality. And certainly I want to compliment the breeders and the young people out here. Young people are doing a great job showing these cattle. It is a little bit of a new experience out here. Of course, that's a neat story to tell, to be able to say you showed out here for the first time in this beautiful new arena, but I think there's a little bit of a learning curve just exhibiting these cattle, and so I want to compliment these young people for doing an excellent job that way. But again, just my compliments in terms of the quality of these cattle is tremendous. Heifer that wins the first division, just extremely high quality look to that heifer. She's so attractive and so well balanced. She has shape. She has some dimension. There's plenty of heifer there, frame size for me for her age, and think about her long term later in life as a cow. But that's a really high quality individual that's very good from the side, and even though she's in the youngest division, she's certainly a competitor out here for me. Heifer that wins the second division is again a sound female that combines that with so much shape and power. She's a heifer that is pretty moderate in her frame size, I think. Maybe we change her a little bit in her head as we get her out here, and a little bit in the way that her tail head tucks into her top line. So maybe nitpick her slightly from balance when we get her out here in this very competitive drive of high quality females. But that's a heifer that really is neat in the way she can combine that much power with that much soundness. That's a young heifer as well. It's just in her second division. But again, she's won this competitive for me today, and a heifer that's going to be competitive down the road in my mind. Heifer that wins the third division is just, again, one of these combination type females for me. She's so attractive. She's so elegant. She's so deep-sided. I like her frame size. She's moderate in that regard. She's bold in her rib cage. She's got enough muscle. There's stouter heifers clearly that we've seen. There's stouter heifers out here in this lineup. But she's such a neat combination female in the way that she can combine that functional traits for me and yet do it with a high quality look. So that's a really neat heifer there to win the third division. That's pretty neat in a lot of ways in my mind. Heifer that wins the next division of the young man's, an intermediate heifer, maybe gets a little plainer as we get her out here, change her a little bit in terms of structure, but that's a nice female for that young guy. She's bold-ribbed and got some meat and muscle in her as well. That's a nice heifer. Heifer that wins our next division here will be the fourth one. Just a really high quality look in this heifer from the side. She's another one that's got maybe a tick more mature frame size, but she's a heifer that's really good from the side in terms of being attractive fronted, in terms of having an attractive hip and hind leg. With that attractive hip and hind leg, maybe we'd give her a little more flex to her hock and her rear pastern, but that's a nice female there, the young man's. Really an intriguing female here that wins the final division in the way that she's so powerful and stout and bold and just so robust in the way that she's made. She's kind of what, there's kind of what you'd expect from a Charolais female in terms of just that power and stoutness and dimension. There's probably enough frame for me personally, for what I like and for the British breed cattle that I raise personally. But again, like I mentioned, folks buy Charolais bulls to add that power and punch and dimension. And so probably, where she has just maybe a little more frame size, there's also those traditional strengths that people gravitate to the Charolais breed for. So a really neat heifer there. So with that being said, I think you guys have such a really good breed in the way that just what I mentioned about some of those things, people want to buy Charolais bulls. They're cattle that are applicable to the real world. They're cattle that can fit the feeding industry today from the size that we make fat cattle. They're cattle that do really a lot of good things, and yet these females come out here and are females as well and have that elegant look. So my compliments to you guys as breeders. My compliments to these young people. I think they've done a tremendous job. And it's been a real honor for me to stand out here and evaluate these Charolais heifers today. It's always so much fun to evaluate cattle that are so high quality. And it's a humbling experience for me personally. So with that being said, I'm going to show you the two I like best. I like a lot of heifers out here. I like a lot of heifers that aren't out here. It was a great show. Well, I'll show you the two that I like best. Let's give them a big round of applause here with these champion heifers.
Your Grand Champion Charolais comes from your 3rd division of senior calves. That is 1452 from Breck Barnard. Your reserve Grand Champion Charolais female comes from your 6th division of junior champion females. That is 1480 from JD Ledoux.